All right, guys. We are once again live. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Yehos. And we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. And we will be diving into the Nancy Guthrie case. So, what you can expect from today's live stream, we're going to talk a little bit about the recent comments from Sheriff Nanos. A recent tunnel from California into TJ, Mexico was recently discovered. Want to see what you guys have to say about that. I want to go back to the case of Konrad Zierich. I think he was a Polish immigrant. He's the guy that put on the realistic black mask and did a couple, I think, bank robberies. And then somebody, thinking that the mask was her son, reported him, and I think he even got arrested. So I just want to talk about these realistic looking masks and how useful they can be for these criminals. And then we are going to talk about recent comments by forensic expert and scientist Barbara Butcher. I think that's how you say her last name. We have a new video from RN. It's 4 hours long. We're going to watch a few clips of that, specifically him talking about the Amy Hilliard case out of Oakland, California. Now, this case is very recent, very similar to what happened to Nancy. They're not close in age. She was in her 50s, of course, Nancy in her 80s, but the case, they bear some striking similarities. So we're going to get into that. And we know Oakland is just a 2-hour drive from our friend RN. So we'll talk about that. There's been some recent talk on X about Walter Goncalves. Now, he was a bandmate of Tommaso. And we have an artist, a professional artist, who is staking their reputation that he is, in fact, 100%. These aren't my words. 100% Walter Goncalves Jr. is what he says. He's going to stake his reputation on it. So we're going to run Walter through the gauntlet, and we'll see. We'll see how close the eyes match. Remember, we did this a long time ago. Early on in the case, we compared Walter to the masked man, and it was extremely close. After we do that, we're going to go through the drone footage. What's going on, Hazel? Over the Hill. Calamity Jane. Jari, Donna. Western NC Girl, Angel, welcome in. Danny, Andrea's Bebe, welcome. True Crime Gal. Kim Jones, Sweet Crimes Do. And everybody else. All right, so let's start with the most recent from the sheriff. Which really isn't much.
It's not just this case.
You guys can hear that, right?
A number of our cases come to us where it requires a lot of work from other people. It's not just a detective goes out there, talks to somebody, and we can make an arrest. This is a very sensitive case, but what really makes it prolonged is we do rely on labs for the digital part of this case, which is very critical.
So we already know that Nanos is waiting on the DNA. And it sounds like maybe some digital forensics from the device. But he's saying we're waiting on the labs. That's why I think it's important for us to go and hear what Barbara Butcher has to say, because she's an expert. She's a forensic scientist. That's what she did. I think she worked over 5,500 crime scenes. So it's interesting to hear him talk about labs and then hear a lab expert talk about what's really going on at that crime scene. It's like night and day.
Labs for our DNA, which is also very critical. But when you're looking at those labs and the work they do, you have a science there, and science has
And he's not a
rules that it
scientist.
has to go by. Even though it's not DNA, they'll tell you isn't an exact science. It's 99% plus, so it's pretty close. But you still have to
Black
follow
Targaryen?
rules. They have
Ron?
protocols because you don't want to jeopardize not just the integrity of this case, but the integrity of DNA as a supplement to law enforcement work. And to be honest, take it to the other side, the criminal justice process. We have rules we have to go by too, Constitution, laws, things of that nature.
Yeah, let's get a suspect before you worry about that, buddy.
The rules of the court, those all guide us.
Unless he is, right? Unless he's talking about somebody that's very close to Nancy. So he's trying to protect her, from anybody messing with the whole court part of this that we might see in the future. Right? Oh, the family's cleared, leave them alone. In the meantime, they might be investigating them very closely.
And so if I were to say there's a positive to this, it is that people are working, doing their best to stay within those.
Okay, people are working. Why can't we get any specifics? Like, we know about the DNA. What else is being done? Who are these people and what is it that they're doing? What are they working on?
Rules so that they have that understanding that, look, nobody wants to arrest the wrong person. We want to make sure that.
Yeah, go tell that to Carlos.
DNA doesn't just identify a suspect. It also exonerates those who are innocent.
What the man? I feel bad for Nancy after hearing that. I kind of feel bad for her. What's up, CJK? Yeah, maybe we will hear from Barbara right now. Okay, so let's actually listen to the expert. Now, this is a scientist here. Listen to her theory.
I find it flabbergasting that anyone would take a woman her age. But what I think is probably the case is that someone in the area, maybe a handyman, maybe a service person, had found out that Mrs. Guthrie was the mother of Savannah Guthrie and said, oh, she must be rich. So this person is not well. And that was my first thought.
Psychopath, maybe.
My second thought was that after time, when there was no valid ransom demand or any information forthcoming, that it's probably likely that Mrs. Guthrie died of shock, fright, heart disease, whatever it was, very soon.
Now, do you think that the sheriff's office is looking at Nancy's case, through these eyes, right? Are they looking into these types of theories? I mean, it does seem to be the simplest. We have people who were live streaming in front of Nancy's home. They captured, I think it was a landscaper that worked for Nancy's neighbor. He actually came walking in between that property and came onto Nancy's driveway carrying a trash can. I mean, who knows what was in that trash can? He was able to walk through there freely. How do we know he's not the perp? And he referred to Nancy as Miss Nancy, as if he had spoken to her multiple times. Right? Each time you stop and talk with Nancy, you gather more information about her security, her personal situation there. trying to determine how vulnerable she is. He was an exterminator, I thought. Who was an exterminator? Danny says no. Kim Jones says no. No what? What are we saying no to? What's up, real gate watchers? I'm doing well. How are you? My opinion, because all I wonder what kind of connections to had to revolved in any way boils down to not sure what you're saying. Terry, he said he would talk to her a lot when he came over there. Yeah, he said he would like have conversations with her. Enough to where he has a name for her, Miss Nancy, right? Hi, Miss Nancy. That means she spent a lot of time out there, maybe watering her plants, getting some sunlight. Yep, called her Miss Nancy.
After being taken from her home. And that's just horrifying to me, just horrifying. And so now
pay attention to this last part. And this is the reason why we're out in the desert flying the drone. I know that typically if somebody's going to cause the death of somebody else and dump the body, it's going to be like within 5 to 10 miles, right? But not always. But statistically, yes, that's what's most likely to have happened. Doesn't mean that's exactly what happened, right?
this kidnapper had nothing and probably, unfortunately, took her body into the desert and buried her there.
Buried her in the desert is what she thinks. Are they even looking in the desert? Okay, so if this is a stranger to Nancy, he's going to take her much further away. He's going to take her, 30, 40 miles out. But he's going to select a location, not necessarily one that he wants to go back to or that he visits often, but maybe one that he's familiar with. He or she, right? It could be like an old hunting area. Maybe he went camping there when he was a teenager. Target shooting, four-wheeling, but not necessarily a location that he plans to frequent in the near future. Just something that popped into his mind when he's thinking of a dump site location. Right? I know the best spot. But statistically, if it's a family member or a friend or somebody close to the victim, they're not going to go very far. But I'm not convinced we're dealing with any kind of friend, family member, or anything like that. This could be somebody, I think, close to Tucson, but close to me is like Phoenix, right? It's a less than a 2-hour drive. So I can see somebody mad at Savannah or through Savannah kind of parading her mom around. Because those are the people who watch the Today Show, right? People like Nancy around that age group. So that's why she would bring her mom on all the time for ratings. I mean, I don't blame her. I'm not sure. So trying to kind of profile this individual, he seems to be very careful. He or she, porch guy. have to consider the pre-planning January 11th, if that's our guy, and I believe it was. He's able to evade the FBI. I think he was sending in ransom demands via email and through the tip line. So he has no concern about that. So there's a level of sophistication there that tells me that we're not dealing with somebody that's just going to go around the corner from Nancy's house and bury the body. This is somebody that has a specific location that they're comfortable with, that's familiar to them, and they have a level of confidence that they can get in and out of there without really being, seen or noticed or captured on some kind of a camera. Don't think he would drive her body that far, being out at 2 a.m. with the body, not knowing if you'd be stopped. Don't see it. I think it was close to Nancy's house. Yeah, and it could be, right? We have to consider both. Because really, we have no clue. But statistically, if this is a stranger targeting Nancy because she's vulnerable, believing that she has money, maybe a worker, he's not going to be your typical dump site statistic. He's going to be a little bit more methodical. And that is right at the 30 to 40 mile radius. Somebody who doesn't feel like they have to worry about being pulled over, right? I'm going to drive the speed limit. My license plate is good. Or maybe, they're just not, they have no concern. Or they drive it every day, right? I'll just dump the body when I go out here, right? I have to be out here in the morning anyway, later on in the day or later the following day. I'll just dump Nancy while I'm out here. It's just a short detour. That way, license plate readers won't pick up anything, because we have a lot of license plate readers out here, hidden, probably all through Tucson, definitely all through Highway 77 there, and most definitely I-10. So the only way it's going to draw any red flags is if it's like an anomaly. But if you're somebody that's constantly traveling up and down the 77 or the I-10, right, you're supposed to be there. So it really depends, right? What seems feasible through the perpetrator's eyes? Like, what seems best for him? Is it driving around the corner and dumping a body right here? That seems careless, right? Well, you might want to dig a hole. Well, you can't just be in the middle of the Catalina foothills in some wash digging a hole. That sounds better than driving out of town, right? Running around in the middle of a city digging holes and dragging around what appears to be a body? Or are you just pulling into a turnoff and going behind some trees and just, tossing Nancy there? That's not what I see this individual doing. We're talking about somebody who was walking around possibly on January the 11th, right? Neighbor reported he was basically doing reconnaissance. He's going to all the pivotal intersections and taking notes, right? Is there any cameras here? Can I escape through here? Can I enter through here? To me, this is not somebody that's going to take Nancy, drive, 5 miles around the corner and decide, well, this is a good spot for a dump site. I don't see it. That's not what I'm seeing with this person, right? This individual somehow shut off the power or disconnected the camera somehow at 147, took the camera with him, was completely concealed, no signs of forced entry from what we know. this person doesn't strike me as a statistic. It's more of an outlier. What happened to the video of someone carrying something over their shoulder? Are you talking about that person carrying that big, it was like a sleeping bag or a blanket or something like that? But nobody I knew she was missing until the next morning. Perps. Yeah, by 12 o'clock, I mean, he could have already been in like Colorado. He would have been in California by then. Quick to get in and out. Yeah, that's definitely going to be top priority for the porch guy, right? Wherever I go, I need to be in and out and nobody can see me. I cannot be seen pulling into the desert or this back alley or whatever it might be in the late hours. That's definitely priority number one. But the one thing that I think is important is that this person's not going to go to an unfamiliar place, right? They're not going to go, oh, well, I'll just go up here and we'll wing it. No, they're going to think about a good location. And that location, it should tell us a whole lot about this person, kind of like Scott Peterson, right? When his wife and unborn child washed up on the shoreline at a lake that was very, that Scott was very connected to. And he even had like a hidden boathouse and a boat that he kept secret. So if you have Lacey washing up on the shoreline at this lake that is very personal to Scott, now they're able to connect them together. So if we can find Nancy, whether out in the desert, in an abandoned building, or in some kind of location, that's going to tell us a lot about who put her there. Amy says if she had already passed and he had her in the trunk, I could see them not working about how far they took her. Yeah, they would be able to buy some time, right? They would have a few hours. And if nobody's reported Nancy, I don't see why they would have any fear about being pulled over. A lot of people think it's hard to dig in the desert, but it's not. There's some very hard spots, but yeah, there's plenty of soft areas in the desert to dig. If the plan was to keep her alive for ransom, then something happened. They may not have had a plan to dispose beforehand. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that they ever planned to follow through with the ransom. I think that was all part of some kind of staging. And so far, it's worked. It's worked really good in their favor. Right? It has the FBI. They have to follow that. That's kind of their expertise, right? Digital forensics. Let's track this guy down. So instead of looking for somebody locally and following down leads locally, they're running off looking for some, tracking some digital trail. So that was brilliant. If that's what happened, it was brilliant by the perp, right? I'm going to send them on a wild goose chase. That way, once they're on to me and what the real motive was, it'll be too late. I'll be gone. The crime scene will be corrupted and, that'll be that. This next video is for some of you who think that Nancy may still be in Mexico being held.
First look inside a sophisticated drug tunnel found by federal authorities near the Otay Mesa port of entry. Good
It kind of reminds me of Breaking Bad.
evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
And I'm Anna Laurel. Those federal authorities also seized a ton of cocaine worth millions of dollars. News 8's Alex Cheney joins us live from near the border with all the details. Alex?
Yeah, Anna, this was a really significant discovery, and the exit to that drug tunnel is actually in the business just here. This is the Buy for Less, which we now know was a fake storefront after federal authorities said that they found one of the most sophisticated drug tunnels they've ever found just steps away from the Otay Mesa port of entry.
Cocaine is now the lifeblood of the cartels.
After a 6-month investigation, the Homeland Security Task Force says they discovered the exit point of the drug tunnel inside a Buy for Less storefront near the Otay Mesa port of entry and seized 2,064 pounds of cocaine.
Damn.
Worth about $45 million.
For those defendants, they thought they saw a light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, what they saw were our lights and sirens.
Oh. That was so stupid.
Agents say the cross-border tunnel is about 1,933 feet long, 55 feet deep, and 4.5 feet in height, with reinforced walls, rail, and ventilation systems and electricity. Last Friday,
Check this shit out.
May 29th,
Look, they're just riding
agents
on a
arrested
rail.
4 men as they tried to make the first delivery of drugs.
That's crazy.
Friday, May 29th.
I don't know if I could picture like Nancy in one of these tunnels, but think about it. They just recently found this tunnel. Somebody's really pissed. Think about all the other tunnels we don't know about. These tunnels are all over the place. Yeah, they are. And they're very hidden.
Agents arrested 4 men as they tried to make the first delivery of drugs from the tunnel.
As they tried to move drugs in boxes, in bags, and in large freezers for distribution throughout our communities.
Border Patrol says the tunnel did not disrupt the Otay Mesa port of entry.
It was so sophisticated, and it was down deep enough that there was no impact to our operations.
The 4 defendants are between the ages of 18 and 32. The men are facing charges of constructing an unauthorized tunnel and the importation and distribution of a controlled substance. The maximum penalty.
Damn, that's a lot. That is a lot. Tunnel on Nancy's land. Yeah, isn't that wild? Build the wall. All right, we'll build a tunnel. But the craziest part is how it was just some kind of like business, right? We don't know what the hell's going on in there. It's not even a real business. It's just a front. You walk into the business and there's nothing there. There's just a tunnel in the back room. So you could take shipments and deliveries in the back, right? Like you're receiving merchandise, but really you're just transporting drugs. How do we know Nancy isn't like how do we know she didn't get mixed up in something like that, part of these networks, and smuggled somewhere or being held somewhere? Maybe on some private property, some ranch. Yeah, it's wild. Heard it mentioned several times. What's up, Perfectly Me? I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you're doing well. Some trailer park. or a trailer like way out in the middle of nowhere with a private drive and a gate. No neighbors, no looky-loos. Gucci tunnels. What's up, Nina? Okay, so have you guys been keeping up with RN's channel, Monterey Spike? At Monterey Spike, I think is his YouTube moniker. Well, here's a clip of him kind of talking about Amy Hilliard. And this is a very recent case. This case is actually out in Oakland, and he lives very nearby there. So it's a little bit strange to hear him talking about Amy's case and kind of saying that whoever is responsible for Nancy's kidnapping is responsible for Amy Hilliard's disappearance. Both cases are very similar. And also, Amy, right? Oakland is not too far from Monterey or Napa, for that matter. So let's take a look at this. This is from,
like I've been saying for months, like Nancy Guthrie's body was put.
This is from the YouTube channel at Monterey Spike.
In Rose Canyon Lake. Like I've done a lot of fucking work on this. Like, why won't anybody listen to me? Why not? Why won't you listen to me? Well, this is going to become really shocking all of a sudden, okay?
And remember, this is just all my opinion, you guys, right? I'm not here to accuse anybody.
Like as if all of this wasn't shocking enough. L here, once again, has a cross through it on the original puzzle, which once again, one meaning designates my murder, but this is also the final letters of
Oh, he also talks about Mab investigates. He's like, oh, and some YouTuber came to my house with a loaded gun. Like he was trying to play victim.
Amy Hilliard's name right here. It's on the H line, and this becomes the final letters of her name, which begin over here. You see, it says.
Andrea is like, who is this guy? Andrea, this is a guy who was leaving comments about where Nancy was. He was saying, oh, my brother, my dad, they're the Zodiac killers. It's a Zodiac killing family. They're responsible for Nancy. They killed her and they dumped her body. They dismembered her and dumped her body in Rose Canyon Lake, which is near Mount Lemon, right up on the mountain that's near Tucson. And we went out and searched Rose Canyon Lake. And also when we were talking about this and about these strange comments that were appearing, RN called in to my show. He said, I'm the guy who left those comments, and he was trying to explain these the Burger Chef cipher and how he knows that it was his brother and his brother's son and his father. They created the Burger Chef cipher in 2019, and they put all these hidden codes and everything in there so that they can foreshadow what they were planning to do, right? Basically, it's like black magic. If they tell you what's going to happen and you don't take heed, you deserve what's going to happen, right? Here's my warning. I made this cipher. If you can break it, then we won't come after you. According to Richard Nolette is his name. But for whatever reason, he's very interested in Nancy's case. He talks about other cases that are seemingly connected. He brought up the Emily Pike case, which was a dismemberment case. She was found probably about 30 minutes outside of her hometown. Basically kind of found in like a camping area. And what's interesting with the Amy Hilliard case is she kind of has like this wilderness area right outside of where she lives. She lives in the upscale neighborhood, and not too far away, up in the hills, there's some camping, and those were her favorite places to go. But a very interesting thing about Amy was she was going to therapy a lot. She was going through a mental health crisis. And the day she went missing, she actually visited with her therapist. And throughout this entire video that RN put out recently, that's all he talks about is 15 years of therapy. And I tried to save my therapist from being murdered by my dad. I had to leave this therapist. It's all about therapy. So it's interesting to see that there's not only a connection between the same area in California, a lot of the same details that are shared between Nancy's case and Amy's case. And then you have this big therapy part. So
basically it says I kill. You insert the H here and spell it from right to left, Hilla, but there is really no A. Hillyward, Hilliard. Okay. If I remember, if I have time, I'll show you where they plan to take her body as well. I don't even know if Amy Hilliard is still alive or not. According to this puzzle, she was executed on the man that raised me, Dick Nolet's birthday of this year. It says right here, it says, I order white. Let's see if I'm getting this right. So her name begins right here, Hil. She was abducted on 3/25, which 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. See right here? That's 3/25 right there. Okay. That's the beginning of Hilliard. Right now.
see, now he begins to talk about Amy Hilliard. And his voice does change. And he's really angry in this video. He goes off on about his cipher, and then he goes, oh, you guys just want to talk about Nancy. And then he starts dropping the F-bomb, and his voice completely changes. I recommend that you guys go watch
Next
it.
to it, it says, I order white lady. Where does it say it? I'm losing track here. Anyhow, it somewhere in here it says they let's see, right, where am I? There's always a possibility I wrote it down wrong. Let's see. I don't know. Let me get back to that. I got sidetracked.
He is older. He's in his 50s.
I'm afraid to mention this. I'm afraid of his power and that he's going to come looking for me, and to tell you the truth.
That's RN.
I really, my whole life, I've tried to respect law enforcement, but law enforcement, they have all the power, and they're able to virtue signal, and they're allowed to get a lot of, they're allowed to get away. A lot of them are sociopaths with a badge. And
yeah, that's absolutely
really
confirmation bias.
Some good ones too, some bad ones. But when you have,
so I think when it comes to RN, Kadams, it goes to the happy face killer. Right? He was committing all of these murders, and he was leaving signatures, and investigators weren't piecing it together. So it would upset him. So not only that, other people went to prison for some of his murders. It was a false confession. So that really pissed him off. So he started communicating with law enforcement and basically insisting upon himself. That I feel like that's something that happens with certain serial killers. So that's what has my attention, right? Nobody is piecing together like what I've been doing here, my grand scheme. Kind of like an arsonist, right? Lights a fire, sits back and watches the chaos. But what if an arsonist lit a fire and nobody showed up? They're not going to be too happy about that. So that's kind of like what I feel these types of killers do, these serial killer types. If they have this grand scheme, right, they think it's this incredibly sophisticated scheme that's going on. It might be extremely real to them, but the rest of the world just doesn't quite understand it. And sometimes they need to kind of inject themselves to help us along, right? Like the BTK or the Son of Sam and his little riddles, or even the Zodiac.
The bad experiences, they really stick with you. Anyhow, let me get to the point. The point is, when you insert the N here, once again, NG is inserted on this line. The L crosses here, crosses my name, RD, also Amy Hilliard's.
Amy
This
Hilliard.
L, I assume, represents the left-hand path. L and L shape always almost.
All right, so who is Amy? Who is Amy Hilliard? Here, let's go to this video, and then we'll go over the case facts for Amy.
OPD told us late this afternoon that there's new video of Amy Hilliard from 4:30 Wednesday afternoon, and it is in this area near Zion Lutheran Church where they've set up their command post here. So they've focused their search today in this area. That video is from more than 2 hours after she left her home, and family and friends say they're holding out hope she will be found alive and well. Searchers are combing hillsides, trails, and neighborhoods across wide parts of Oakland, looking for 52-year-old Amy Hilliard.
She personifies all that's great about this great city.
We talked to Amy's longtime friend, Tom Green, at a weekend vigil for the beloved mother and local business owner Sunday night. Hilliard was last seen leaving her home near Lake Merritt on Radnor Road Wednesday afternoon and was said to be going for a walk. OPD says Amy is 5 foot 4 inches tall, has blonde hair, and was wearing a white T-shirt.
That's the same as Nancy, right? 5'5".
Light-colored blue jeans and white shoes with black stripes when she was last seen. Since then, the family says the number of volunteers involved in her search has grown into the hundreds. Green says he's not surprised so many people have given their time to help.
She literally feeds the community. She feeds her friends and family in her home, and she's fed citizens of Oakland and San Francisco on both sides of the bay through her coffee shop.
Amy and her husband own Farley's coffee shop chain, and Amy helped found Oakland Montessori.
Randy.
The love and support for Amy and her family so evident at Sunday's vigil and in the ongoing search.
Amy is the kind of person that brings communities together. She brings people together. Like Tom mentioned, she feeds people from both sides of the bay. You'll notice tonight that her friends reach all across communities, socioeconomic backgrounds.
Police and searchers are asking people to check their own home security video from Wednesday, especially in the Lake District near Lake Merritt, Cleveland Heights, or Crocker Highlands neighborhoods. In Oakland, Tom.
So this is the area where she went missing from, and this is the drive to Monterey, California. All right. And this is apparently where RN is at right now. If you go to his channel and you look at the location that he was posting his video from, is Lake Berryessa. Now, Lake Berryessa is a famous location, a crime scene for the Zodiac killer. Remember, he came walking over the hill and he was wearing like this crazy costume and like some kind of weird black giant ski mask looking thing over his head. And he tied up a couple and stabbed them to death. So it's just interesting that this is the location where RN is posting his videos about the Zodiac, his Zodiac ciphers from Lake Berryessa. And he also mentioned during his video that he doesn't live in his apartment, that he just uses it for storage. That's creepy as hell. Right, we got the mountains over here. Hold on. Right. It's kind of like Tucson. You have this area up here where you can kind of go into the mountains. There's some camping over here near Berkeley Hills, more on this area. But you could literally camp there and then come in to these neighborhoods at night or during the day. But how do we know he wasn't seeing the same therapist? Or what if his therapist is sharing an office with Amy? Both their therapists work in the same building, and he was able to charm her. Or just target her. She was last seen at, I think, Diamond Park. Should be like right here somewhere. Yeah, right here, Diamond Park. And her dog, she had a dog that passed away not too long ago. She was supposed to be out walking her other dog. So Nancy, remember, her dog died in December of 2025, and we really don't know how. We don't know how she died. Or how her dog died. It's like a black poodle looking dog. Well, same thing happened with Amy. She had a dog that passed away recently. And she was very depressed about it, is what she told her husband. So she lost a friend of hers that was really close to her, and then she lost her dog. And it caused her to kind of go into this mental health issue. And she was spending a lot of time with her therapist. Now, the person who will not shut up about their therapist is RN. That's all he talks about. His therapist. And how his family wants to kill his doctor. Right? It's his family that wants to kill Nancy. It's his family that wants to kill Emily Pike, or that did kill Emily Pike. It's his family that killed Amy Hilliard. How do we know it's not him? Is Amy a therapist? No, she owns a coffee shop, one in Oakland and one in San Francisco. So it's not just a coffee shop. I think it's like a kitchen too. So you can go there, you can get breakfast, lunch, but mainly it's coffee. So here, let's go over some case facts, and then we'll get into the Conrad Zurich case. Oh. Yeah, he's a college graduate. I think he has like a master's degree or some shit. I'll have to go back to my interview with him, but he told me. Spent a lot of time in college. Julie, in the cipher, I also see the area in there. Marry a therapist. It could be, but that's just not the way I see it. I'm seeing something else. Yeah, we're on it. Patrick and the Sleuth crew. We're on it. Susie, what happened to your video from last night? Well, it got copyright struck on YouTube, and then I just took it off of X. I wasn't really planning on keeping it. It was just like so that we could hang out, chat, talk about whatever. Okay, let's see here. Amy Hilliard, spelled Hilllyard. 52-year-old white female, was 5'4", 120 pounds, blonde hair, hazel eyes. Went missing in Oakland, California on March 25th this year. She is a co-owner with her husband Chris of Farley's Coffee Shops. Farley's East in Oakland and one in San Francisco's Potrero Hill. A mother of 2 daughters and actively involved in community nonprofit work. She is described as an avid hiker. So she spends a lot of time in those hills. Morning of March 25th. Amy and Chris had breakfast at home. Chris dropped her off at a BART station for a therapy appointment in Walnut Creek. That's so interesting. She reportedly returned home afterward. Around 1:40 to about 2 p.m., she texted Chris. Neighbors saw her walking the family dog and chatting near their home in the 500 block of Radnor Road, Cleveland Heights neighborhood near Lake Merritt. She was last seen in this area around 2 p.m. 4:30 p.m., surveillance video shows her alone in the Diamond Park area. Now, that's that location I showed you guys. Frequented for hiking a few miles from her home. Wearing a white short sleeve top, light colored jeans, and white sneakers with black stripes. Earlier reports mentioned a tan top and pants. Later that afternoon, Chris returned home to find her missing. Her phone, wallet, and other belongings were left behind, just like Nancy's. The dog was not crated. He reported her missing soon after. She is considered at risk due to an undisclosed mental health condition, right? So she's vulnerable. She was taking related medication. Police have stated there are no signs of foul play, just like Nancy, right? Other than the blood, no forced entry. We still don't know what happened inside the home. Case is being treated as a missing person at risk. So this is the missing woman out of Oakland that RN is talking about. He's trying to say that the people who are responsible for Nancy's disappearance are the same people who hurt Amy. Tupac. Same as poor Nancy. Yeah, very similar. Doors left open. No items stolen. I think the dog was just kind of wandering around. So she was seen walking the dog and then later at Diamond Park without the dog. Okay, now let's talk about Walter I. Goncalves Jr. This was a bandmate of Tommaso. And there is somebody. Let me close some of these. Somebody on X who claims that they're willing to stake their entire professional. Hold on. I mean, it is a true crime channel. You know what I mean? It should give you the creeps. But either way, he says he's going to stake his professional reputation on it. He's a artist, and he's trained to make these types of assertions here. So let's take a look Here's the comparison that I did a while back. We showed this, and we all agreed that it was very similar. So that's Walter. I mean, the eyes are almost perfect, right? And I believe this person is 6'1". So we're definitely not here to accuse anybody, just running them through the gauntlet. Everything you're hearing is my opinion. Everybody that's in the chat room, that's their opinion, has nothing to do with me. And we're all just having an open discussion here. We are not experts. I'm not. Just giving you my opinion. So it's interesting now doing the height test with the actual Nest camera. To me, I believe that the individual caught on Nancy's camera is at least 6'1". This person, Walter, is real tall and slender and is closer to that. He's closer to 6'1". What's up, Paige? Good to see you. Flicker Fade. Who is Walter? Walter is one of the band members of Tommaso. Let me see if I can find an image here. So he would be the individual on the left here. So to me, he does fit the description a lot better. Now that I know that this person is much slender than what we see on the camera, and we did that by doing our analysis and our own testing, right? A lot of pixel distortion in a fisheye lens camera. You have to take that into consideration. It's like a variable. So we determined that this individual is at least 6'1". They have somewhat slender arms. And apparently the eyes do match quite a bit. So I thought it was interesting. Right? We talked about this person early on, and a lot of you dismissed him and said, oh, well, he's a lot taller than 5'10" or whatever. He's over 6 foot. Well, in my opinion, the porch guy is over 6 foot. I think he could be anywhere between 6'1" and 6'2". 6 foot to 6'2". Right? Connection to Kalela, who has a connection to Mojito, who is connected to Kayla and Luke. Crazy. Here's a close-up on the eyes. Flicker Fade. I think he's 6 foot as well. Yeah, closer to 6 foot in my opinion. And this is a newer photo too of the eyes. This image right here, this is a newer one. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. The guy said, I would stake my professional reputation on it. He says, I've done all of the testing. I used all of the tools available. And he's saying 100%. I'm not saying that. Because, I mean, this image here just really isn't that clear. right? There could be details in here that we're missing. But man, is that close. Scary close. No, nothing on the lips. Let me pull up the photo. I think this is the one I used right here. All right. So I'm not trying to accuse Walter at all. I promise, because I don't know what the hell's going on. But right now, he's connected to Tommaso. He's a friend, a bandmate. And pretty much the majority of the world thinks that Tommaso might have had something to do with this. I don't see any evidence to support that at all, which means that I don't see any evidence to point at him, right? If I can't see anything connecting Tommaso other than Occam's razor, really, can we say that he's even connected at all? But when you have people right now talking about him and staking their professional, putting it on the line, the whole reputation here, 100%, they guarantee it. I don't. But I do think that the beard is consistent. I think that the porch guy, whoever he is, their facial hair covers a lot of their face underneath their lips and above their lips. Kang, wrong lips. See, I think we're making a huge mistake thinking we even understand what we're seeing on that video. It's just so pixelated. It's so blurry. Don't get thrown off. Things aren't always as they appear, right? There could be shadows. The guy has something like a flashlight in his mouth. Don't think because we have these images that we know what we're seeing. Don't make that mistake. Marissa says, not him, face too thin. I don't know. Think about the ears here. The ears would definitely add a lot. Did he have a beard at the time? Yeah, the cheek areas right here look much bigger, but you have to think, right? What if we're not just seeing the cheeks right here, but we're also seeing these really wavy ears? And it's making the face look wider here, right? What if this is the ear right there? Right? This part of the face that we feel is creating kind of like illusory, or maybe even a little bit of pareidolia, making the cheekbone look like it kind of comes way out here, like a chubby face. But really, what if it's just part of the ear right here? Right? It kind of matches right there. Yep. And that brings us to our final story before we get into the drone footage. Conrad Zierich. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this story. The guy with the silicone mask. After a string of robberies in Cincinnati, Ohio, earlier this year, so this was back in 2010, police arrested an African American man who'd been picked out of a photo lineup by several of the victims and identified by his mother. Jeez, and you guys wonder how innocent men go to prison. Who thought she recognized her son in a bank surveillance photo shown on TV? But it turns out the man didn't rob any banks at all. The real culprit was a white Polish immigrant with the realistic Hollywood style mask. Right? You're looking for this man, right? The mom's like, oh, yeah, it's my son. Right? That's Luke. That's Luke Daly right there. When really it's fucking Bushwick Bill. I mean, God forbid the porch guy puts on a silicone mask and then a ski mask over it. And what kind of mom turns in their son like that? With a fucking fake mask. Like, you're telling me you think this is your son? Yikes. That's creepy. That's my son. And then other people pulled him out of a lineup. Yeah, that's not justice. That is not justice. Not sure, Hannah. Hannibal. AZ Gal, what up? Walter Nash. He's interesting. Turning my son in for nothing. Especially, like, there's no way that that actually looks like her son. You know what I mean? Like, it might look similar, but you're not going to go talk to him? Like, hey, is that you? And he's like, no, like, I was at work. I can show you my pay stub. Yeah, this is such a crazy story. Now, imagine if he didn't have an alibi and he just happened to make like a weird post that morning on social media. Like, what if he just posted, I'm feeling crazy today? Right? I might tear some shit up today. But really, he was talking about the basketball court or at work. And then he has no alibi. He has his mom snitching on him. And what if he just happened to be in the area and his phone pings kind of nearby? And then they never catch Slim Shady over here. Crazy to me. Yeah, there's no such thing as justice. We don't have a justice system. We never have. Yep, ski mask over a mask. Right? We're dealing with somebody that's doing a lot of pre-planning. This isn't some type of opportunistic person. Yeah, maybe. You might be right, Maritza. All right, guys. That is our first hour up. I think it's going to take us about an hour to get through this footage. So let's get going. All right, I'm going to go grab some water. I'll be right back. Here, I'll kind of pull up a map too real quick to kind of show you where we were or where I was. Danny with the 1 month flex. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so we have Nancy's home over here. Now, the closest BLM land is right off the 77, right out here. Basically, Cactus Forest Campground. Now, the thing about Cactus Forest Campground is this whole area right here is BLM land. Meaning you can come out here, you don't need to pay any fees, and you can camp for 14 days. If there's no fire restrictions, you can do target shooting if you follow all the rules. You can just come out here and basically do whatever you want. And to me, this is one of those locations that would be very familiar to somebody. They might select this location if they put a lot of forethought into it. So we were actually parked right here, I believe. Yeah, this is us right here. So we parked right here. And I kind of searched this whole area too on foot. So let me show you what we did. And I think we're going to come back out here and I'm going to do the wash. After watching all of those vehicles kind of come rolling out of there, I think we need to cover the wash a little bit better. Okay, so we start here. And after just kind of lingering around and making sure all my settings are correct, we go in this direction. So I'm following along the edge of the road. And I think I follow it back down this way. And then up through this wash. And for whatever reason, the battery cut short. And I had to fly back from right about there. And then on the next one, I think I forgot to hit record until about right here. I was like, oh shit, record. And then we fly like all the way down here. But we're going really slow, so we're not covering a whole lot of area. We need to go slow so that you guys can take screenshots and do your own analysis. So we came back here. That was battery 2. And then we flew across the street this way, kind of backtracked, and followed these roads over here. So that was basically the flight path. Is that Kalen Blue? I know that he has 2. Are you saying that there's a third one? That'd be interesting. Nope, there's only 2. Monica. Yeah, I'm glad I caught it so quick. So right now I'm just kind of checking my perimeter, making sure there's nobody like anywhere nearby that I need to be worried about. It's just a habit I do. It's a habit of mine. Making sure there's nobody like camping close by or something that I can't quite see from where I'm at. And now I'm just making sure all the settings are correct, the lighting, how close do I want to be to the ground? You know, how much do I want to zoom in? Just kind of trying to find that sweet spot. Oh, we got a super chat. Hold on. Almost missed it. I just cannot get past the cyst by his eye and the obvious leg issue. That brings up a good point because there have been a lot of cases where people were arrested even though they were wearing like a ski mask. A lot of people think, well, why are you spending so much time on the porch guy video? You know, what do you think you're going to find? Well, the truth be told, the FBI gets really excited when they have a distinguishable facial feature. Like, let's say a very unique wrinkle in their forehead, or maybe a glimpse of a tattoo right under the eye or something like that. They get really excited about that, and they can get things done with that small piece of information. I don't know. I don't know if he does or not. Go adopt a cane corso. I have enough dogs. I have a huge dog. He's part Great Dane, and he's super strong. He's like 110 pounds. He's a rescue. I actually rescued him on a members only a while back. He was hiding in a bush, and I came around the corner on my bike, and he was all skin and bones. And we spent like a month trying to find his owners, and come to find out he was most likely abandoned out there by this canal. He definitely has his issues, so I know he had a rough start in life. But he's good now. He's a good boy. He's a good guard dog. He looks like a junkyard dog. And he's one of those dogs that can sense people, right? If you're a bad person, he can sense it on you, like right away. And I'm going to post this footage on another video later, so don't panic. This is just so we can hang out for a little bit. Yeah, I really didn't rescue him. He kind of picked me. Like out of nowhere, he just came walking up to me. And then another man came around the corner and he started growling at the guy. So out of the 4 people that kind of walked by, one lady with her dog and 2 other guys, he growled at this really greasy looking person. And this greasy dude is somebody that I always see in my neighborhood driving like a red Corvette. He kind of looks like a douchebag, right? Dirty teeth, right? Just dirty teeth, greasy, slicked back hair. Makes you wonder what the hell he was doing back there in that alley. Lisa Red Willows. So I think I'm going to go back to this location and search the entire wash. But I want to go through these videos first. That way, if we see any areas of interest, we can go there and focus in on those areas. Truth Warrior, he actually kind of talked to me a little bit about coming on my channel, but that he said his attorneys advised him against it. I think he's trying to sue his brother right now. He told me that RN is extremely dangerous. He's like, if you keep playing around with him, you're going to find out why the entire family is staying away from him. This is like, I think about 40 miles from Nancy's home. So if you're from Tucson or even parts of Phoenix, this might be a place that you're very familiar with. You might come camping out here, target shooting, off-roading. This might be a place that pops into your mind if you're looking to dump a body. What's up, CJK? Sherry, I'm sure he is in the chat. Maybe. Melissa, what's up? We know your ways. Lawyers told him not to. If you haven't done anything, then you need a lawyer. You can't speak on your behalf and clear your name. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's all bullshit. Mini pin. Ankle biter. What does? Yeah, the closest I have was talking with his brother. We did talk to a woman who says she ran into RN in 2017, I think it's somewhere in New Mexico at a campground, and he was like stalking them. In the middle of the night, he pulled up into a location where he could see them. And she said to her husband, that guy, he's like a serial killer. So that's interesting. So one of our viewers actually had a run-in with RN, according to her. Her and her husband were out camping and ran into him. NJ, what up? Good to see you. Yeah, it is kind of scary. Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw him out there by Rose Canyon Lake. I'm like 80% sure. And then to come to find out, he says that he's not even living in his apartment. He told me that he lives off disability. So if you live off disability, you could pay your rent without having to work a job, right? You're not working. You're living off disability. So that means you can be out traveling while appearing to just be living as a recluse in the city, but really you're out camping and targeting people. Hypothetically. The camping couple saw him in a few places in New Mexico. What's up, Lisa? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Taro. That explains a lot. Why you're so invested. Same with me. My grandmother passed away pretty recent. Personal for me, I would not stop until there was nothing left of me if somebody took my grandma. Yeah, it's very strange, huh? That we don't see any like public movement from the family, law enforcement, nothing. We see a private investigator show up at Nancy's home, and that same day there's all these rocks and all this trash basically dumped on the easement. I mean, I don't know what to believe. Is that true? Did you see the interview room? Chris said the family didn't even have a polygraphs done. Nanos is a liar. I heard that they had polygraphs, but it wasn't done with the sheriff. They went to like a, I think Savannah picked who was going to conduct the test. Thanks, Monica. Same goes to everybody out there that's going through something similar. Right. They say that about everything. We'll take care of it immediately. We'll get something right on it. We'll get somebody right on that for you. Then they hang up and they don't do anything. They finish like eating their sandwich or whatever. They're like, was I supposed to do something? Whatever. Oh, that's gross. They found poop? Like human poop? Yikes. Yeah, that's turning into some strange behavior there. Kerensky, psychopaths can pass the lie detector test. Honestly, I think anybody could. Especially if you had your own like polygraph set and you could hook yourself up and like test it out, practice. So what does it test, right? Sweaty fingertips, heart rate, and breathing, I think. So all you would have to do is keep your fingers from sweating. Control your breathing and your heart rate. And you have to keep it consistent. Or keep it uncontrolled through the entirety of the test. But whatever you do, it has to be consistent. No variations or deviations. We can see into a lot of these trees pretty good too. A lot of beer cans. Apparently there's a lot of hunting out there. Not quite sure what you would hunt out there. Some javelina maybe? DNA investigation. I ain't touching it. Look at all these beer bottles. So the ground out here is not very hard at all. But there's a lot of, floodwaters that come through this area. It's like a plastic bag right there. Who told you that, Tima? Was it dog poo? All right. We should be here for a minute. I agree, Dean. I just don't see anybody organizing any kind of searches. Typically with the missing person like this, there's a lot of people who get organized, especially with Savannah's influence. And I believe she can afford it, right? I'm not here to watch her wallet or anything like that. But from my understanding, she has enough money, right, to create the manpower needed to get out here and search all of these deserts. Search the washes out there. All those little nooks and crannies around Nancy's home. And not just anybody, like professionals, people that are experts in searching for people. Yeah, that sucks. And I haven't heard any reports of neighbors being asked questions or people being interviewed or cooperating with a private investigator. So I wonder what it is that this private investigator is doing. I haven't seen any like search efforts. Like, what could they be doing? The only thing I could think of was maybe handling the ransom. Right? Next time they call us directly. Not to mention, he kind of looks like the porch guy, right? In a weird way. I just wanted to kind of see under that tree. Make sure there wasn't anything stuffed under there. What's going on, Kimberly? Monica says PI is busy driving around in the white Tesla acting like Mr. Tough Guy. Yeah, is that his Tesla? Is that the same Tesla that was there like on day 1, day 2? Like, what's up with that? I thought Cameron was in the Tesla. You guys see all these tracks through the wash? Yeah, we're definitely going to do the wash next. Just the wash. We're going to go slow. We're going to look under all these trees. And the entire time I was out there flying the drone, all you can hear is like gunshots, gunfire. All different kind of weapons. You can hear handguns, ARs, hunting rifles. Some of them were really loud. So I think this might be when the battery is about to die. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, honestly, right? Doesn't he? Doesn't he look like the guy? He kind of dresses like him. He walks like him. The shape of his head is very similar. Flicker says Cameron was in the white car day 1. Yeah, we got to get a better look at this wash. Definitely coming back out here. What's up, Pamela? I'm still waiting for someone to tell me who has made the most money off the Nancy Guthrie up to this point in time, Nanos or the YouTubers. Oh, I guess you'll never find out. Yeah, look, they're all kind of going through the wash. Take care, Amy. So this is the part where I told you I forgot to record, and now we're recording on the side of that road. Cameron was in white Toyota Camry. Thought he was in a white Tesla. Thank you, Jari. Aren't the rains expected in the coming weeks? Won't that make any clues found and searching erased? No, actually, it could be the opposite, Terza. If they, for whatever reason, it's like a shallow grave situation, it might uncover her. But hopefully, if she is deceased, and we don't know that for sure, I mean, there's no real proof other than what's been said through the ransom, some statements by Savannah. They all seem to believe that she's passed and that they're trying to find the location of her body. I just hope if she is deceased, she's not anywhere near like a drainage or anything where she can be pushed further into some kind of a hiding area within the drainage system. A lot of horse tracks out there too. There's a ranch. There's ranches all through here. So even though it's public land, you do have people who own private property out there. Sherper says, what about putting something in the newspaper or on YouTube challenging the perp to leave a clue or publish false info about the crime? Why have they told people not to even talk about their mother? Well, typically what you'll see in a missing person case, right? They must have information. But typically what you'll see is law enforcement will partner up with somebody that's been selected by the family to organize a search. So they help facilitate it. They get volunteers together. They work out a grid. And then they'll take one expert and then they'll send them with like maybe 5 or 6 volunteers. And they'll go over here to one area. And then they'll do the same thing with another group. And they'll just do a bunch of grid patterns. I haven't seen anything like that. Even the PI who's helping out in the Daniel Robinson case out of Buckeye, Arizona, and I went out and searched out there a few times. The PI that's helping out he's out there, like he's organizing search teams. They're out there in ATVs, quads, on foot, drones. They're using all the technology that's available. They've even found, I think, like 3 missing people. So they found bodies. They just didn't find Daniel's, but they solved 3 cases while looking for Daniel. So if everybody goes out in that desert and they go looking for Nancy, what else will they possibly find, right? What is Nanos afraid of? What is he afraid that we might find out in these deserts? A lot of holes in them deserts. A lot of problems are buried in those holes. Remember last time we went out there to search for Nancy, we saw the sheriff out there. There was 2 sheriff vehicles, and the sheriff got out of the car with just a regular citizen. It looks shady. Like, what the hell are they doing out there? Dang, they hung up on you. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. They don't want to get in trouble from Nanos. He's waiting on the DNA, and if nothing comes back on the DNA, it's a cold case, and he's just going to go on about his business. Mama J says, how come I never see any kind of critters out there? Well, they're there. You just have to remember it's like 100 degrees. I think it was like 102. It was hot. It was really hot. When I got home, I could feel it. Like I had been cooked in an oven all day. So they're either underground, in the shade. They're just kind of hiding. But when you go walking through there, you can kind of see the lizards running around everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't see a rattlesnake. I thought for sure I would see a couple. Not one. Especially under these shady trees out there. Yeah, what are they hiding out there in the desert? You know, they don't want anybody searching. Right? They're like, we're not worried about you finding Nancy. We're worried about you finding all these other problems that we have buried out here. And remember, when you find the dump site, it's going to tell us a little bit about the perpetrator. It's got to be somewhat familiar to them. They have to first know about the location and then select it. So yeah, maybe they don't want us finding any of these other people that are out here waiting to be found. Just like Daniel Robinson's case. They're out there doing good work. Daniel's father, the team that he's hired, yeah, they're out there kicking ass. I would love to see them come out here and do something with Nancy's case. They seem to have a pretty good formula. It's like ground and air superiority. I think the guy he hired too was like a crash reconstruction guy, where they can kind of determine what happened. They kind of reverse engineer it. Yeah, that does happen too. Dig a grave under a grave, or dig up a fire pit and then bury it and then create a new fire pit on top of it. People in Mexico, they're dissolving bodies. I'm sure they do it here too, but they're really known for doing that in like acid and drums. Thanks, Monica. You had to work to get the settings right on that. Plus, I have a pretty good filter on it. The key is just to kind of go nice and slow, keep it steady. That way you guys can come in later when I post the videos and take screenshots, and they'll all be in high def. Yeah, let's listen to what Barbara
I
had to
find
say.
it flabbergasting that anyone would take a woman her age. But what I think is probably the kid buried her there. And probably, and so now this kidnapper had nothing and probably, unfortunately, took her body into the desert and buried her there.
Yeah, Randy, we'll do that often. Well, we'll just hang out, just hang out and do whatever we want. Play music, goof around, and then we'll just delete the video. Well, what was that? Did you see that? What the hell is that right there? It's kind of weird looking, huh? I'm going to zoom in on that real quick. That's not what I wanted. It's weird looking. Wonder what that is. Maybe it's like maybe a balloon. It's a Mavic Air 3. Yeah, Maritza was really good. Some of it was kind of creepy. It came out really well. Shade. What's up, Sherry? Can't the FBI start a search with dogs? I don't know if the FBI can do anything on Nancy's case without the sheriff's approval. Now, private citizens, yeah, they can get organized and get out there. Jari. Do you see that? What is that in the tree? It's like something hanging or floating. Like, what is that? Oh, I thought it was a shadow. I thought this was like hanging from the tree. If it still might be, right? Yeah, this looks like it might be hanging from the tree right here. I can't tell. Anyway. It's like some digging over here. Some kind of animal, maybe. It's like coyotes or javelinas. No, Brenda, this is in a different area. Some kind of excrement there. Kind of looks like something buried right there, huh? Like a sheet or something. Yeah, very vast. Extremely. Maybe like 10, 15 feet. Like the road is literally like right on the edge of the screen on the left. You can kind of see it pop in and out of the frame. You'll see it from time to time. Some more disturbed ground there. Yeah, this is definitely basically what we're looking for is anything out of the ordinary. And there is new technology that you guys can use. Basically, take this video, you can run it through this AI program, and it'll tell you if anything looks out of the ordinary, even if it's kind of underneath some debris. It'll highlight it for you. So, what we're doing is we're just looking for anything interesting. I've taken a mental note of exactly where I flew the drone. So, I know where everything is. If I see anything that stands out, we go back there and we take a closer look. And we actually did that live. And that's more towards the end of this. And we actually might not even be able to get to it, but I can maybe I can zoom past. And we'll continue this at another time, but I am out of time. So let me find the video and you can go watch. We found the location and we went boots on the ground and searched the entire area. So I think it might have been this video here. No, it's not this one. Okay, so this is me kind of using the last battery. I wanted to fly across the main road there and take a look at these dirt roads back here. And we actually found something. So this is how we plan on using the drone. Find areas of operation and then go take a closer look at them in person. Look how big that area is. Thank you guys for supporting. Couldn't do it without you guys. Bama Girl, welcome in. Sad part is these experts were willing to come for free. Exactly. Here, hold on. I think there's one more. There we go. Oh, wait, I think I missed it. Which one was it? Oh, there it is. So I flew it across the street and we found this little area and I had to go check it out. So yeah, there's that bag. Look at that. Right, you can see like there's something in it. This looks like a head. Yeah, like the fetal position. So we actually went out there. Right after we saw this on the drone, we went and took a closer look. We're going to go find out. So you can kind of get an idea of how far the drone, how much area we're able to cover. Right? There's no way we would have been able to search this entire area. Closer smell. Yeah, it was gross. Very smelly. It smelled like some kind of animal. Like maybe manure, but it could have been like pig shit too. I know there's a pig sanctuary out there. Maybe somebody was told to take it to the dump and they just went out here and just dumped it out in the desert. Yeah, there's a pig sanctuary not too far from there. That's probably what it is. Some pig shit. So yeah, we went out there, kind of poked around at it. It was really nasty. Yeah, so it's pretty gross. But here, this is what it looked like from the sky. We were able to find this, with the drone, mark the location, and then go take a closer look. So that's really what we hope to do. Thank you, Hannah. All right, guys. So like I said, I'm going to post the footage unedited and uninterrupted by me. And you guys can analyze it yourself. If you find anything or see anything of interest, let me know and we can talk about it during the next live stream. And if you're part of the replay crew, you know exactly what to do. Drop a comment, we'll get back to you. Big shout out to all my members, subscribers, new subscribers. I really appreciate all the support, you guys. And make sure you guys are saying a prayer for Nancy and all of the missing and those that have been murdered. So you guys keep up the good work. I couldn't do it without you, all right? So I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.